What's up, friends? Another Fun with Azure here. This is, let me go over here. This is Fun with Azure Studio, Synapse Studio Part 3. And in the last two sessions on that, we looked basically at the, let me go over to the more detailed and enlarged image here. We looked at the data and development section already. I think we already peeked into integrate, but this time we're still going to spend some time in data. And what we're basically going to do here is get some data up to the storage account that is associated with our workspace, right? And once we have this data uploaded, then we can basically analyze the data. So let's head over to the storage account and I'll show you the steps to go through to get there. Okay, so this is our workspace right here. And just so you know, this is part 3. Part 2 is here. So, it is good to watch this in order, but you can actually look them also independently. I try to make them consumable as standalone videos. Some of them may require the other one, but this one should be good on its own. So this is basically the home tab or hub, right? Then we have here the data hub, development hub, integrate hub, monitor hub, and manage hub. So, we'll cover all of those eventually, but let me give you a quick overview on those real quick. So manage is more on the administrative side and generating pools, having external connections enabled, setting up integrations. Integration runtime is when you want to get data behind the firewall or behind the VNet or on-premise data, which is in the same category. Here we have security. We're definitely gonna spend some time on that one. Of course, Git integration and also code libraries. This is very relevant for a Spark cluster. When we want to add some external libraries to it, so the code can actually use those. So this is that section here, manage. Then we have monitor, which kind of speaks for itself. We actually looked at this already. We can see what kind of activities are running here when we look on those tabs. SQL, right now I don't have any because that window here, I think we would need to go a bit further. Let me go. Just a quick check if it doesn't see here. So I haven't done anything on this workspace within the last couple of days, so that's why we need to go back further. So after today, you would expect some stuff, some entries showing up here again. But this is basically monitor, and we still have Azure Monitor where we can route data to it. But if you want to have a quick look sort of inside, then this is the place to go. Then we have integrate. As the name suggests, here you can generate a whole slew of items to basically integrate data. Pipelines, copy tool. The copy tool can be launched here. We're going to definitely spend some more time on this. But like I said, today it's going to be data. And let me show you real quick. Going over to linked. And we have the standard storage account that is already associated with that workspace. That's kind of a standard setup. You normally always have a storage account associated because this is the place where you get your data in. And then here we have folders. In a data lake, you would have like your bronze, silver, golden, or your raw data, process data, curated data, reference data, and all kinds of folder structures. We can come to that also in more detail, but I just want to show you real quick what we have here. So test 1, 2, 3, and don't pay too much attention to the naming here. That could definitely be improved. We have a bunch. There's another folder called telemetry, and there's a folder called cities, and there's a folder file called T1 JSON. But let's go into telemetry, and I actually already did upload some data here. And let me show you those files also on premise, basically, sorry, on my machine. So there's a telemetry folder on my machine, and those are the files here. So I can open one real quick. The telemetry file is kind of an interesting one. It's a little bit bigger, and maybe we start with that one. So let me open this in WordPad real quick, just to give you an idea how this looks like. and almost there. So this is a bit of a bigger file as well. So we have an ID, an event date, a device ID, and M1 to M10, then some sort of a placeholder, and then an O type and an R type. So this looks like some telemetry data from an engine, device ID, right? So consider it that one that we could further analyze. And we have like 10 measures per reading. And this is actually 3 readings per second, but each of the types are different, right? So the R type, the last record here, you can see it's 1, 2, and 3, right? So, and then it repeats itself again. So we have 3 readings per second for each second on a given day. Here the day is January 20th of 2020. The year 2020, so device 5, right? And there's other devices. Not so much. This time I don't want to spend too much time on, what the business use case is, which is definitely important. Here it's more about the technicalities of getting the data up there and working with them. Here I also have some other files that we can have a look at later. I'm going to make those also available to you so you can follow this along on my GitHub and can download those. It's always kind of helpful to have the same kind of files. Eventually, this is CSV files, right? So eventually we're going to also use Parquet files, which is basically the more commonly used file format. But just to keep that in mind, initially it's kind of easier to work with CSV. Not necessarily easier, but more familiar. And then we switch to Parquet as we get more into the weeds. So when I upload this, and I didn't show you how to upload, but that's the easiest here. We go click the upload button, and then you can actually go here, select this folder from your local drive, and navigate to that folder, and you can upload it. So that's pretty easy stuff. And once the files are uploaded, it looks like this. And then I can actually right-click each, and I can do a preview, which is definitely important or valuable. So you can see here, without a problem, it gives me the device ID, the measures, all the stuff that we currently looked at. The R type, we see that all changing. Gives us some interesting information here on top. So that's all quite dandy. And when I right-click again, then I can say new script. And then I have this select top 100. And we looked at this already last time, right? So I don't want to spend too much time on this one this time. But let me run this. And then you can see, obviously, I can, if I switch to the results step, I see the data. And in that case, there's actually the first... The header is part of the data set, so that would need to be changed, but I can actually already kind of play with this data now, play around with it, look at it, analyze it. Now, this is good for sort of ad hoc stuff, but let's say I wanna get a bit more, save this and make this a bit more available, potentially even through a view at some point. So typically I want to then generate an external table, and let me do that real quick. Okay, and then there's a dialog here that I can use to generate this external table. Now, there's different ways of doing this, okay? So what I'm going to show you here is that approach. So I'm going to use the infer column names. So basically, I want the dialog to show me the first column being the headers of that file. And then I could hit that preview data again here, but I'm going to go continue. And then let me see what I have here built in. And then I can hear, this is the interesting part that I wanted to show you. Here I select the database, right? And this database here is actually a serverless pool database that I generated up front. And fun with Azure, and I'm gonna just generate this table here, Fun with Azure, part 3. And you can, of course, name yours the way you want. I'm not generating the table right away. I just generate the script. Okay. So now I'm opening the script, and I can, see basically what's being generated here. And if I do a drop, because I already have some artifacts in here that obviously I can't use. So let me do that. And then I do this. So, and let me bring up this database on the left. And for that, I actually need to switch over to the Workspace SQL database. See, and these are my SQL databases, and we use this SDB alarm. So I go into that one. So external table, we already have 2 external tables here. As I was playing with this, and we also have external data sources. So I definitely need to make sure that the one with that name isn't in here already. Otherwise, I would definitely get a runtime error. So let me do that real quick. And I need to check the right database here, SQL DB alarm. And so once I do that, okay, and because it's currently in use, I need to first delete that. Okay, that makes sense. So this is an external data source. Let me do the same here. So drop, and then put that on top. And normally I would do like an if drop. If it's there, then you can do that. This is just really quick to get the sample to work, and then let me copy also the name. Okay, and let's drop this one first. Now there is no table with that name. That makes sense, but there is a table with a different name, which uses the same data source than the one that we have up there. I could change the name as well, but for now I'm just gonna copy. Let me see if this is, I obviously cannot copy this. This is interesting. Drag and drop does not work. No. So I need to type it in with datetime, but it's IntelliSense supported, which is definitely helpful. Okay, so let me run that. That should work. Okay, and then the same statement right underneath for test 1, 2, 3. Okay, and it's also IntelliSense supported. I like that. So I drop that. So now I can go up there and I can drop that because that's no longer needed. And this time I get a successful run, and I can drop this one as well. And now when we go over here to that serverless database and refresh, then we should not see any of those items no more, because we basically clean the database now only for that purpose here. Okay, so now let me run this. So this is where we generate the external file format, right? So we need to look more into the documentation of what a file format is and what is it used for and stuff. Then we have an external data source. Keep in mind the data source uses the file format to work. Let me see, is there? I thought there's a reference. External data source location. No, it's actually not true what I just said. Okay, so that's okay. So let me run that. But the table is using it. So you're gonna see in the table both parts being used. So this was successful. And see here with data source and file format, both of those basically items that we just generated are now gonna be used in the table. And this is a bit disappointing what you're gonna see now, because when I run this, just want to make sure this, so looks green, looks good, right? So let me run the next statement. And when I run this initially, I had some errors, right? And I have the same again, of course. And the reason for this is this file is not 100% clean. So even though it looked like it's very clean, there's like a couple of records where it shifted to the left or right, and that gives the data types problems to handle this. So if I go through this one more time, but I change the settings in the wizard that we used, then I can show you that we can actually get this into the file cleaner and make it actually browsable. I just wanted to kind of point out that sometimes it isn't that easy to get this to work right away. Now, like I said, let me go back. We're gonna show this in the next video because I'm already hitting that mark of the 10 minutes. But if we do create external table, and then I'm just gonna let I'm not inferring the column scheme, and basically let it like this, and I say continue, and I choose the same database again, SQL alarm, and then I say fun with Azure part 3, and then script 2, and using SQL script. Right now, let's have a look at the database that's being generated. You see the table now is different. It's basically using NVARCHARs for everything, so this is more forgiving. Now you would need to further process this and clean this, but this would actually work. Now let me real quick show you. I think we need to move this to the next video because I also need to regenerate the sources and file formats for this. But this one here would work because this is a more forgiving format, and in the next video we're gonna have a look at this. Okay, so basically what we did in this video, just to recap real quick, we uploaded some files, telemetry files, and I have a couple of other examples that we're gonna spend on some more time next time because I find this a pretty important topic. And then we basically use that context menu here, preview, new SQL script, external data, select top 100 to basically get this going. We also need to look into the new notebook. This is then more on the Spark side. There's a new data flow that we can build on top, starting from here. And there's a lot of capabilities in this context menu. So lots of good things for us to check out in further videos. Okay, this is it for this time. Have a good one and talk soon. Leave a comment. Let me know what can be improved and what you potentially want to see. But all good. Thanks. Have a good one.